Told you that يعني Ibn Hisham told us rahimahullah about the i'rab of this ayah, these two ayat, wal fajr wa layalin ashr. So he told us wow al qasam, yani that's harf jar. So al fajr is ism majroor, and this wow is the harf atuf, so it is the conjunction conjuncting fajr to layal. And he's saying though that this kasra in layalin is not the same as the kasra in al-fajri. One might think it is because al-fajr really is majrur in the sign of jar, is a kasra. And why might he think that that's the sign of jar in layalin? Because he does not know the sarf of this word here. What happened here? So the origin of layalin is layali. Layali. Okay. What is the wazn of layali? Well, looks like I'm reviewing this with you right now. So it looks like the lam is the fa, and the ya is the ain, and then the alif is the extra here, and that the lam is the lam, and then the ya is the extra here. So it looks like the wazn of layali is fa'ali. And that's mamnu' min as-sarf. Why is that mamnu' min as-sarf? Because it is one of the ultimate plurals. The case of muntaha al-jumu'a. Muntaha al-jumu'a. Muntaha al-jumu'a has several patterns, like masajid, masabih,
Masabih, maybe. Oh, Masabih, you said. Sorry.
yeah, masabih, masajid. So I'm opening shad al-arf here in sarf, and I'm going to look under jumur al-kathra, plurals of many. Arabic has two types of plurals, jam'u qillah and jam'u kathra, plural of few and plural of many. So here's some of the patterns of muntaha al-jumur, fawa'il and fa'ail and fa'ali. Here we are. Fa'ali, fa'alil.
What page was that again? What's that?
In my copy, I'm looking at started on page 121.
Okay.
السابع عشر فواعل, and I skipped a few too. So these are patterns for muntaha al-jumu'a. Muntaha al-jumu'a is going to be mamnu' min as-sarf. Okay, mamnu' min as-sarf. So layali, it has the pattern of fa'ali. So it is mamnu' min as-sarf. So if it's mamnu' min as-sarf, means if it's majroor, what should its sign of jar be? Can you tell me?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I was still looking.
Yes. So we have now settled on layali being mamnu' min as-sarf. And if it is mamnu' min as-sarf, then what should its sign of jar be?
The sign of it would be fatha.
Fatha. Sign of jar should be a fatha. So why there's a kasra here? Because the ya got omitted. Layali. But why did the ya get omitted? That I don't know. But it did get omitted. So what happened was it was walayali originally, and then the ya gets omitted here. So when the ya gets omitted, then it means that the word becomes yeah. I mean, there's a ya here, a lamb here, just merely a lamb. And there was already a kesra on this lamb. I just covered it up. There was already a kesra on that lamb. So where did the tanween come from? And not only where did tanween came from. There's another question. If this is mamnu' min as-sarf, then there's a question that you should have,
I guess.
which is,
Fadl.
which is, why there's a tanween there? I thought it's mamnu' min as-sarf.
No.
Mamnu' min as-sarf means it's not going to take a kasra for jar, and it's not going to take a tanween either. In any case, whether it's marfu' or mansub or majroor, it's not going to take a tanween. And if it is majroor, it's not going to take a kasra. So where does kasra come from? I mean, where does tanween come from? This tanween is not the same tanween as what's the one that was here? Yeah, it's not the same tanween as the one in zanin or qablin or malblin, layalin. It's not the same tanween. This tanween here is called tanweenul iwad. Tanweenul iwad, replacement tanween. What's being replaced here? The ya. The ya is being replaced here. So let's back up. At tanween, don't forget tanween has different kinds. There's 4 of them. Let's see if I can remember them. There is tanween tamkeen. There is tanween tankir. There is tanween muqabala. And there is tanween iwad. So when you say marartu bi qadin, which tanween is that? That's this one, tanween tamkeen. But when you say walayalin, which tanween is that? That's this one, tanween iwad. 2 different ones. Well, what are those? We did cover this before in Qatru Nada lesson, maybe in Ajrumiya lesson. Tanween tamkeen. What's the meaning of tamkeen? Tamkeen means the tanween of firm nominalness. Being a nominal, being a noun. The tanween of firm nounness or nounery, if you want, as opposed to being a verb or particle. So there's a digression here to explain what happened in that ayah. We could keep going, but when I listened back to the recording, I wanted to clarify something for you. Because we're saying that that's mamnu' min as-sarf, but we're giving it a tanween, so this needs to be rectified. So, what's tanween tamkeen? This is the tanween that shows that a word is firmly a noun. Firmly a noun. Now you might say, well, I thought tanween only appears in a noun anyway. It's not going to appear in a verb, and it's not going to appear in a particle. So what's the meaning of a tanween that shows that a word is firmly a noun if a tanween does not appear in anything but a noun? And the answer is that it is true that a tanween only appears in nouns, but it is not true that every noun is firm in its nounery, its nounness, its being a noun, in its nounhood. Because could be that a noun is like a verb, so it is lacking some nounness. Or it could be that a noun is like a particle, so it is lacking in its nounness or its nounery or its nounhood. For example, huwa. That's a noun, an Arabic noun, but it cannot take a tanween because so much like a particle. It is a noun, but it is not firm in its nounhood, well rooted in its nounhood because it has the semblance of a particle. Or like the name Ahmed. This name Ahmed, it's a noun, but it's not firm in its nounhood because it resembles a verb. How it resembles a verb, that's another story. Good question for another time. But it does resemble a verb and therefore cannot take a tanween. So it is not firm in its nounhood. Take a word though like rajul. You say rajulun, rajulin, rajulan. What is this tanween here? And you know the tanween is just the second haraka, not the first one. The first of the two harakas is the i'rab sign. We're writing a haraka instead of writing a noon sakina. What is this tanween here? This is tanweenu tamkeen. The tanween of a of nounhood. This is the tanween of nounhood. Tamkeen means being firmly a noun. So that's the same tanween that exists in marar to be called in. Talk about the tanween only here. That kasra, that tanween being a kasra has nothing to do with the state of Jarr. That tanween being a kasra is only because we still had a tanween left over, if you remember the lesson. After we omitted, we had a kasra left over. After we omitted the ya from al-qadi, there was already a kasra on the dad. There was already a kasra on the dad. Then we omitted the ya, yani, and there was a tanween also. If it were in a state of rafa, it was qadiyun. This here is a tanween. Qadiyun. The dhamma was heavy on the ya. So it was omitted. Became yani sukun. We got rid of the dhamma, became a sukun on the ya. Ya has sukun, tanween has sukun. So we remove the first letter with the sukun, which is the ya. Leaves us then with a dad with the kasra on it. And a tanween still there. That kasra on the dad has nothing to do with the state of Jarr. And this tanween has nothing to do with the state of Jarr. We're just not going to leave it in the form of a dhamma. Still tanween though. In pronunciation, it didn't change. It's a noon sakina. We're just changing the character and using a kasra instead of a floating dhamma. We're not going to have a kasra on the dad and a dhamma floating there. So instead of that, we are going to just bring this tanween over here. I'm going to remove that al there. Qadween. This, which tanween is this here that's doing all these acrobatics? That's tanween tamkeen. Now, to not cause any further ado, I won't mention tanween tankir and tanween muqabala, at least not yet. What is tanween iwad? Yeah, I need to cut to the chase. Iwad means replacement. What's being replaced? Tanween iwad replaces one of three things. Either replaces a harf, or a kalima, or a jumla. Replaces a harf, or a kalima, or a jumla. The tanween. Like what? Here. Tanween iwad either replaces a harf, or replaces a kalima, or replaces a jumla. So in the case of replacing a harf, then that's going to be like when you say وَلَيَالٍ. That's Tanween Iwad, replacing the ya. When is it replacing a word? That's like when you bring a word that is bound to idafa, a word that must have attached to it a mudaf ilayhi, but then you omit the mudaf ilayhi. Like kul. Kul is always a mudaf. Can you omit the mudaf ilayhi? You can. Then you're going to say kullun or kullin or kullan. That tanween now is replacing the mudaf ilayhi, meaning whatever the taqdir is. Kullu wahid, for example, depends on whatever you're saying. You're going to know the taqdir of the mudaf ilayhi based on your context. Or another one is ba'd, another one is mithl. The poem Mulhatul I'rab, which covers Nahu and Sarf. It's a step above Al-Ajur Rumiyah. He has a small section about words that are bound to idafa. So that's a nice chapter in that book that's not present in many books of Nahu. Words that are bound to idafa. And what about the jumla? When would a tanween be replacing an entire jumla? When the word the tanween is on will be also a mudaf, but mudaf to an entire sentence. Like if. If. When. You say even.
What about yawma eating? Yawma eating to hadithu.
Same if.
Mhm.
يعني يومئذ ساعة إذ.
No.
If is mudaf to a jumla. The whole jumla is mudaf ilayhi. You say, for example, صليت. إذ دخل وقت الصلاة. So, if is ظرف. صليت إذ. I prayed when. So it's ظرف في محل نصب إذ. And then this whole sentence دخل وقت الصلاة is في محل جر as مضاف إليه. مضاف إليه for إذ. إذ is the مضاف and the jumla is the مضاف إليه. So as a rule, إذ is always مضاف to a jumla. And it is valid to omit the jumla. If you do, then you're going to replace it with a tanween. So if it were said, for example, دخل وقت الصلاة, then someone might say صليت إذن. صليت إذن. Although you should not stop on a tanween. And it would mean I prayed then, meaning I prayed when prayer time came in. So For example, Allah says,
What about the verse يوم from Surah Zalzala? يومئذ تحدث أخبارها. Could you use that?
yeah, إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها. When the earth quakes with its most severe quaking. وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها. And when and the earth expels what it has within it. وقال الإنسان ما لها. And the disbelieving human says, what's wrong with the earth? Because he was not anticipating this severe quaking. As for the believer, he already anticipates this severe quaking, so he's not caught by surprise. يومئذ تحدث أخبارها. On the day when the earth quakes its most severe quaking and expels what is within it, and the human says, what's wrong with the earth? So that's what the Tanween is replacing. All of that. Or some of it, depending on what's in the tafsirs. Then the earth shall tell its news. So, يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. Some might translate it as on that day. So let me write it out. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها. When the earth quakes with its most severe quaking. Either when. So we're waiting for a consequence. It's like if. So then what? When? Then what? We'll see. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها. When the earth quakes its most severe quaking. زلزالها مفعول مطلق. وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها. And the earth puts out its what it has inside of it. وقال الإنسان ما لها. And the human kafir says, what's wrong with it? يومئذ. So someone might translate this as, on that day, تحدث أخبارها. It shall tell its news. The earth shall tell its news. But it's saying like, the day of that, يومئذ. The day of that, what's that? All of what came before or whatever might be in some of the tafsirs. The day of when the earth quakes its most severe quaking and the earth puts out whatever is inside of it, and the blaspheming human says, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with the earth? So the Tanween Iwab replaces entire sentence. And here we are told what? Either when that happens, تحدث أخبارها. The earth shall tell its news. The example I wanted to give you is one that I usually see in the books of Nahu from Surah Al-Waqi'ah. فلولا إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ تنظرون. So this is the ayah that I see in the books of Nahu. For when they want to demonstrate Tanween Iwad replacing a sentence. فلولا إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ حينئذ تنظرون. And so, why not, when the soul reaches the throat, وأنتم حينئذ, and you then, يعني حين بلغت الحلقوم, حين بلغت الروح الحلقوم. So, which jumla the tanween is replacing here? The taqdir is حين بلغت الروح الحلقوم فلولا إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ تنظرون. أي حين بلغت الروح الحلقوم, etc. till the end of the surah. So that's called Tanween Iwad. That's the Tanween in Layalin. So it's not the same Tanween. And therefore, Layalin is still Mamnu' min as-sarf, because the Mamnu' min as-sarf, it can take this kind of Tanween. It does not take Tanween Tamkeen, but it can take Tanween Iwad. When they say Mamnu' min as-sarf does not take a Tanween, they mean Tanween Tamkeen. Any question here?
No, I just have to review but yeah, mashallah.
So here, Ibn Hisham, he has some talk that I reckon we might want to skip. Let me just read it quickly and see. قال وإنما قدرت الفتحة مع خفتها لنيابتها عن الكسرة والنائب الثقيل ثقيل ولهذا حذفت الواو في يهب كما حذفت في يعد. Okay, I see what he's saying. He answered my question. Why the ya is omitted in the first place? He's saying the ya in layali. He's saying because originally it would be walayali, and kasra is, I'm not going to say layaliin because mamnu' min as-sarf doesn't take a tanween, and it doesn't take a kasra either. But we're trying to figure out why the ya went away. Had there been a kasra there, then the kasra would be heavy on the ya, and then you would get rid of the ya. But there's not a kasra there. It's mamnu' min as-sarf, so it takes a fatha as a sign of jarr. And as a rule, fatha is light on a ya. We would omit the ya for having a kasra because it's heavy, but you don't omit the ya for fatha because it's light. So why the ya is omitted? It says, وَالنَّائِبُ ثَقِيلِ ثَقِيلٌ, because this fatha is replacing this kasra. This kasra is heavy. This fatha is replacing this kasra, and being its replacement, it's just going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy because it's replacing something heavy. وَالنَّائِبُ ثَقِيلِ ثَقِيلٌ, yani it's still heavy anyway. So then the ya gets omitted. And then there's a tanween that comes to replace the omitted letter. Any question?
No question.
Wallahu a'lam.
MashaAllah. Yeah, even Hisham is pretty heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, he goes into like a surgeon almost, a surgeon for the language. SubhanAllah.
Yeah. Subhanallah.
MashaAllah. There was something on he, outside of the topic, I wanted to ask you a question, but it's related to Arabic.
Okay.
Um, when I've heard people call modern what they translate as modern standard Arabic, sometimes they say Fusha for that. What is it? Why is that?
Well, Fusha is the classical Arabic.
No.
Modern standard Arabic, it's for the most part Fusha. But I say the difference, though, if there's a difference, the difference is in the what is modernity the right word? In the modernity,
Yeah.
meaning
Yeah.
the style is different. I say, and Allah knows best. These days, even if they speaking like proper Arabic words, not slang words, the way they formulate their sentences, the way they talk, to me is like they're talking in English, but just in Arabic.
Hmm.
And like when I would listen to the news, if I can follow them, it's not like this Arabic here. This Arabic and all the other Arabic we study in our books. We study these books that are, in a lot of cases, hundreds of years old. That's a clear flowing Arabic. It's very smooth and light. Unless one author here and there wants to display his muscles. Then he will produce phrases that you could barely comprehend if you wanted to. But the way they talk in the news, or if you were just to watch, let's say, a modern show, maybe it's a talk show in Arabic, it's like you're watching something Western, but it's in Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like the style, the modern style, the current style. And I actually had a course in that when I was in Lebanon. I failed that course. It was called Taqniyatu Ta'bir. Taqniyatu Ta'bir means techniques of expression. The word taqniyat is itself Arabized from the word technique. Taqniyat. Taqniyatu Ta'bir, techniques of expression, which is basically, this is how we talk nowadays, and just would not work for me. Couldn't get it. I could, like, reading the magazines and stuff like that was like very laborious for me. Very uninteresting too, for me. Subhanallah.
So they call it classical because they use the ancient. They use the words of the
Yeah, original
okay,
Arabic.
but the syntax uh of the sentences and or the what we say the syntax or we say the usage of the,
Well, I won't say the syntax per se, and it's going to be correct Arabic.
yes.
It's a style. It's the way they don't talk like this, like what I'm reading here, like the words of Ibn Hisham, just for example. They don't talk like this. It's different.
So
Probably
okay,
what helps understand is like, look how they would talk, for example, English back in the 1800s. It's not like how we talk now.
yeah,
And we can understand them though. It's
right.
different.
Um, so you would say the style is. What about the usage?
But it's basically the same words though. Assuming the one who's speaking, he can speak proper Arabic. He doesn't make mistakes. If he talks in this modern way, I find it heavier, not flowing, not like this. These books of the scholars, those centuries ago, like contrary to the contrary, the further we look back in English, for example, it's like the more difficult it is for us. To the contrary, you look back at that old Arabic, it's so clear and easy. This is my own take on it. This modern stuff, I'm not talking about like you're just learning in the university and you don't hardly know letters. I'm talking about in magazines and newscasts and things like that, talk show, modern talk, and maybe not religious also. Could be religious too when they talk like that. It doesn't flow well for me. I don't understand it well.
So I've seen people who are what they would call literate Arabs, but they have trouble with classical Arabic. So on the other hand, it seems that some of them they've gotten very used to, like, I guess what they would call literary, maybe literary.
Yes, because they didn't learn it. I don't see why an Arab who can speak more than slang, who can speak without talking in slang, why he can't speak Fusha well. Unless he really never studied the Fusha like this old way, I guess. But they are amongst them. You're right. I've talked to some. When they speak to me, I understand. It's not slang. They will speak to me not in slang, but it will be impure though. Their Arabic will be impure, but will be clear for the most part. And they will say, you speak Fusha. I don't speak Fusha so well.
So is there another name? My last question, I know our time is up. Is there another name for MS for what they MSA for Modern Standard Arabic? Is there another word for that that can be used?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Because they do say Fusha as for MSA as well. So
Yeah, it's going to be Fusha.
sure.
If a person looks at those books, Modern Standard Arabic workbooks, everything in there is standard. It's regular Arabic. ضمائر يعني أسماء إشارة أسماء موصولة etc. مبتدأ خبر فعل فاعل.
MashaAllah. Jazakumullah khairan. I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you for your time, mashallah.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك